I was 15 years old in 1945, riding my bicycle along the beach with my buddies, the golden light of the afternoon casting long shadows on the sand. Then, just up ahead, we saw a group of girls, about 14 years old, and there she was. She stood out instantly, radiant, the kind of beauty that made the whole world slow down. She was from the good side of the neighborhood, and I was from the so-called bad side, but to me she looked like royalty. I knew I had to get her attention, so I did the only thing my teenage heart could come up with. I gently bumped my bike into hers and knocked her over. Not my smoothest move, I'll admit, but I helped her up. Our eyes met, and something clicked. From that small, clumsy moment, our love story began. Remember how I mentioned I was from the bad side of the neighborhood? Well, the boys from her side weren't exactly thrilled about the idea that the prettiest girl around was dating a guy like me. Let's just say they tried to have a word with my friends and me, but let's be honest, they didn't really stand a chance. After a few months of dating in 1946, I asked for her hand in marriage, and we tied the knot in her parents' backyard. Not exactly one of those fancy weddings with white doves and champagne fountains, but it was ours. We started a simple, honest life together. I worked as a car mechanic, and we slowly began building our love and family, one ordinary day at a time. Deciding we were ready, the next step in our journey was the birth of our two beautiful daughters, 5 years apart. Our home was filled with love, though I'll admit I was never the hugging type, but I loved all three of my girls just the same. My wife stayed home to raise them while I spent my days managing a garage, often coming home late, covered in grease and tired to the bone. So when it came to things like heartbreaks and teenage drama, I'll be honest, that world belonged more to their mother. I wasn't always in tune with those moments, but I was always there in my own way. As the years passed, our two beautiful daughters got married, and soon enough our first grandchildren were born. Let me count for a second. 6 grandchildren, and listen closely. 16 great-grandchildren. We always did our best to show up, to be present, to give what we could, and to be honest, all those long drives across the country with pots full of hot soup never wore us down. If anything, they made us happier. My wife and I found joy in every visit, every smile, every noisy, messy kitchen. It was how we stayed close. How we showed our love in the simplest, most honest way. I won't pretend there weren't hard times along the way, but we always trusted we'd figure it out. We never walked away when the waves got high. Never. I remember the first time something felt different. At least, that's how I remember it. I asked you where my pants were. Since you were always the one who knew how to fire up that washing machine, you told me you'd hung them out on the line. So I stepped outside to get them, but they weren't there. I looked around, confused, and there they were, still inside the washing machine, soaking wet. You had always known where everything was, always. And in that small, quiet moment, I felt it. Something had changed. That something was Alzheimer's. They say that in the beginning, the one who suffers most from Alzheimer's is the person who has it. And I remember clearly the moment you started to understand what was happening, that it was beginning to take pieces of you. I tried my best not to say things like, "Don't you remember?" or point out the little slips. Deep down, I found myself waiting for the illness to progress, not because I wanted to lose you, but because I didn't want you to keep suffering through the confusion and fear. And that time did come. They say that in the later stages of Alzheimer's, it's the family who carries the weight, not the patient. And I did. But as strange as it sounds, I felt a quiet kind of relief when it reached that point, because you didn't have to feel lost anymore. This damn disease, Alzheimer's, is a one-way ticket. Everyone knows that. As it progressed, you started becoming aggressive toward me, and I did my best to love you even more, even when it was hard. Within a year, your physical condition began to decline, and since you didn't want to leave the house anymore, the family came to visit us often. By the end of that year, you fell at home and were rushed to the hospital. I was called into your room to give you one last kiss, and that kiss, just like all of ours, was beautiful. I hope you felt it. Times were hard. There isn't any other way to say that. Our beautiful family stayed close, supported me, and gave all the love they could give me. But I needed you. Since you did everything in the house, my love, I really needed to start learning to cook, wash my clothing, and do simple house chores, although I did know how to replace a car engine. For 5 years, my health was good. I've went swimming and spent a lot of time with our family. Although my days were full, the nights, well, you know the rest. 5 years after you left me, my own health started to decline. Just like you, I began forgetting things, losing track of names and moments, feeling frustrated and not always understanding why. Thank God for our family. They were patient, kind, and always by my side, just like we had been for them. Then, for a few days, I couldn't get out of bed. Something deep inside me knew my time had come. I wasn't afraid. I was tired, and I missed you more than words could ever say. I closed my eyes, and I knew the moment had arrived, and then I saw you. You were standing there just as beautiful as you were on that sunny day in 1945 when I first bumped into you on that beach. You smiled at me. That same smile I waited 5 long years to see again. Let me tell you something, my friends. 80 years of love doesn't just happen. It takes work, hard work. You don't walk away when it gets tough. You stay, you fight, and you grow together. Don't give up on your spouse, ever.